Matt, do heat mats help seeds germinate faster and grow better?
Yes, germinate faster, but no, to grow better, especially for warm weather crops like cucumbers, tomatoes, peppers. Those guys will germinate faster, but I don't know if they actually come out better in the long run. So they'll pop through the seed and it accelerates their rate of germination. But like anything that gets rushed, right, there's a downside to it. We did a side-by-side with these two trays right here. And 3 days later, 4 days later, I would have said, oh my gosh, yes, this heat pad has totally helped, right? Everything was popping out from the side with the heat pad. But then,
heat pad tray definitely won the race as far as faster went for germination time.
Yeah, so let me just show you guys. This one right here, this side had a heat pad, and this one did not. Now, initially, this had popped up well before this, across the board. These, by the way, are watermelon, tomato, and pepper. Now, a few days past that, what you'll see right here is what's called a helmet head, where the seeds are still stuck on, and weaker development, and they're a lot leggier.
So what causes heat mats to make seedlings grow leggy like this?
So it's interesting. It actually creates a hormonal imbalance. So if you think about it in nature, naturally, right? Sun's going to come from above, heat up from above downward, right? Now you're simulating heat from below, which only happens in compost naturally. The same seeds, I'm realizing, that germinate well with heat pads are also the same ones I tend to see growing out of compost piles, particularly tomatoes and peppers. And so what I realized was, if your heat is coming from below, it's actually simulating being in a compost pile.
That's a really good point.
So what it happens is, with that heat, it creates hormones called auxins, which lead to legginess and stretchiness. The seedling breaks through, and if there's not a ton of heat and light pounding downward, there's going to be a hormonal imbalance from the shoot to the root, which is going to lead to this stretching and legginess.
Is it kind of like the shoots poke out and think, oh, I must still be in the shade because it's kind of cool and maybe you don't have enough light, so I better reach to get back up to the sun?
That is such a perfect metaphor, and you probably understand this as well, if not better than me. But yeah, exactly. They're still they're confused, right? They're moving through warm soil. It's still cold, still cool. So they don't understand what's going on. They think they're in the shade. They don't think they've broken out into that beautiful spring light that's warm.
So these are warm weather crops that were planted for this experiment. What would have happened if we had planted cold weather crops? And can you just quickly say what a cold weather crop is?
Sure. So cold weather crops are the type of things you'd plant, the type of seeds you'd plant early in a season when it's still cold out, close to freezing. Whereas these guys, you've got to wait until the temps are always above 50, and the warmer the better for the most part. So cool weather crops include lettuce, carrots, turnips, radishes, those guys you put in first in the year, and they will actually be inhibited by heat pads.
So they potentially won't germinate if you had a heat pad.
Yeah, so when temps get above 75, they're thinking, all right, it must be midsummer. I don't want to germinate now. This isn't my season. And they're it's literally going to prevent them from germinating.
And I think these heat mats, their surface temperature can get over 100 degrees. So very easily, they'll warm that soil to a temperature that will trigger them not to germinate.
Exactly. So they're just sitting there forever and probably just eventually rot because it's going to be so wet. So,
right, because you're missing them, hoping that these little seedlings pop.
So yeah, unless you're trying to prevent your lettuce seeds from germinating, don't use a heat mat with them.
Is there ever a time that you would recommend a heat mat?
For sure. You know, if you're in a basement, you're like, look, I'm just trying to get these things to sprout and I'm going to bring them up, you know, and it's 60 degrees and you're doing peppers, tomatoes, put a heat pad under. But again, once they germinate, you know, you got to get your heat above. So you got to crank some light on them to prevent that imbalance of auxins, because otherwise it's just all root and the shoot still thinks it's trying to get above.
Right.
So that's the challenge, right? Is because as soon as these guys pop, you need the heat to come from above if you want a healthy seedling. And so you might as well just fix that ahead when you put the seeds in my mind, get the best outcome you can get in the first place for something you're gonna have to do down the line, if that makes sense.
Makes total sense. So to summarize, it sounds like in most cases, you aren't gonna wanna use a heat mat because yes, you can make your seedlings germinate faster, but you're gonna compromise a better and healthier seedling in the pursuit of getting it to germinate quicker.
100%. I think heat mats cause more harm than good in most circumstances. Unless you're a really advanced, experienced grower, I would ditch the heat mat.
All right, there you have it. Ditch the heat mat. Thanks so much for joining us. And for more tips on how to grow life where you live, make sure to like and subscribe.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.